I am sure you have experienced this, where you ask a friend or someone you know their opinion on something, and their response is, let me process that. How many times have you had this said to you by people? How many times have you said it to other people? And are you aware you're saying it? And what does it actually mean when you say, let me or I need to process that? What does it mean when you need to process something? Are you aware of what's involved, and are you aware of the processes involved in your processing? I know this sounds complicated, and yes, it can be, because we can make things complex. And processing of human processes can even be really overwhelming, especially when you're not aware of the different processes involved in what you're thinking, feeling, working through and experiencing. The reality is we are constantly processing every single moment of every day, even when we're sleeping. We are involved in so many processes every moment of the day. And how aware are you of the processes you are working with, let alone your processing of the processes? Because our focus tends to be external rather than internal. Process and processing are my love, my fascination, and my strength. And I'm Melinda Cates, the creator of the I Make a Difference model and processes for your processing. Understanding and knowing human processes, understanding and knowing human processing, and having the ability to identify and especially dissect the key components and steps that make up any process you experience and are influenced by, or are exposed to, and that you go through when processing, gives you the awareness and ability to work consciously and intentionally with what you're experiencing. You understand why you are experiencing what you are. You understand what you're experiencing. You're able to identify and know what you've gone through to get to where you are and why. And you know what you're going through now and what you're potentially going to experience and go through. You understand the process. This awareness and understanding supports you to be more accepting of what you're experiencing. And being more accepting supports you to be more powerful and influential in your ability to work with the processes you're experiencing and involved in. And you're able to work through your processing, your experience of those processes, more effectively. Why? Because you're not fighting them or making them wrong or resisting them. Instead, you are accepting them and you work with them. But before I go any further, let's clarify what a process is and what processing is, as they're both fundamental elements to who you are and how you operate as a human being. They are key areas for you to understand and know if you want to personally grow and evolve and also reconnect to your true self. They guide you and help you find meaning in your adventure of the human experience. And they help and guide you on your journey back to who you truly are. Process and processing are two areas of your life that are applicable to everything that you experience, are involved in, everything that you express, see, hear, feel, think, and go through. Everything has a process to it. And the specific focus here is on your human processes and your true self processes. For example, the process of emotions. Understanding how you got to feel them, experience them, what's involved in the experience of emotions is very different to the process of sensing and to that of thinking. Then each individual emotion has its own unique process to it, how it operates, how you experience it, why you experience it, and the steps required to heal them. Guilt is different from abandonment, and guilt on its own has 3 reasons for it: warranted guilt, unwarranted guilt, and over-responsibility guilt. The more aware and conscious you are of the processes you're involved in an experience, where you are able to identify what you're experiencing, how it's unfolding and why, then the more accepting and empowered you are to work with and through everything that is occurring for and to you. You get to influence how you work through your processing of the processes you're experiencing. So what is a process? As I said, just about, if not everything in our life has a process to it. A process is the journey that something takes from one point to another, whether it's a conversation or an area of growth, or it's even washing the laundry, manufacturing something, driving a car, a thought, the different aspects of the human self that we utilize within us. Then multiple processes can influence a single process. For example, making a cup of tea, something we probably do unconsciously most days. It has its own process. But so does the creation of the milk, the creation of the tea bag, how the water gets in the jug, how the jug came to be, what the jug does. Then you put all of that together in the kitchen, and it's a process on its own, making the actual cup of tea. You get the point. It is the same as a human reaction. There is a trigger and the process of that, let alone how the trigger came to be a trigger. There are emotions involved in that process and how they're activated by the trigger and how emotions came to be in you to be triggered. There is a reaction as a result of the trigger and emotions. There's the behavior and words that you express in response to the emotions being activated. Multiple processes can influence a single process. But in simple terms, a process is the natural way something operates, works, and unfolds, as I said, from one point to another. A process can be set, or it can be random, or fluid, or transforming, and it can be constantly moving. A process takes you on a journey from one point to another, to an outcome, a conclusion, a realization, or even a pausing point. Then this same process transforms into a new one and moves to a different place. Like the triggering of emotions to reactions, like the making of a tea bag or a teacup, through to making a cup of tea. When you participate in a course, the course has its set process, which involves the content, the activities, the steps you take to work from the beginning of the course to the end of the course. Your process and processing during the course process has its own unique way. Then it transforms into a different process once you complete the course. I'll give you an example of that. The process during the course is you exploring, learning, discovering, developing, and then after and maybe even during the course, it's about awareness, integration, and application of the learnings and discoveries. A process is the steps and flow of something, and they're fascinating. A key element to you being able to work with any process, and especially the human processes that are involved in your personal growth and involvement, is for you to be aware of each of the processes within you that are operating and that are on the outside of you that are involved in your personal development. And being more aware of these processes, then the more aware you are of what you're experiencing, what's unfolding, which will support you to be more effective in your self-facilitation of your processing, where you facilitate yourself through the unfolding of the process you are journeying. Self-facilitation is the ability to facilitate yourself through your processing of the process and processes you are experiencing. Be aware though, you can block and prolong your processing of the process. If you avoid, resist, control, or try stopping the process or your processing, well, this can have impacts on you. Naturally, our system likes to complete processes and processing, and it can be really dissatisfied if we do not. And this is sometimes possibly why we experience learnings over and over again until the process and your processing of the process is complete, where you get it. The more you understand the process, the more you can consciously complete it as you continue to personally grow and evolve. Your journey of the human experience involves a number of internal and external processes that you are directly involved in and are influenced by. Processes that require healing, like your emotions and your physical body. Processes that require unraveling of conditioned and learned ways that are not natural to you, like beliefs, like thoughts, like the way you deal with your emotions, your behaviors, the way you communicate, and reactions. Processes that require unblocking, like trapped energy and suppressed emotions and even suppressed memories. Processes that require you to reconnect to, like your true self and the self-worth that is natural to you and limitless that is within you. The more aware you are of all the different aspects of yourself, the more aware you are of the different processes influencing you and your processing of the processes, the more you are informed. And you can grow your ability to consciously and intentionally work with your process and processing so that you more powerfully influence what you experience internally and are able to work through that and influence what you experience externally, especially in your relationships and interactions. So what is processing? As we've explored, you will have possibly said and definitely heard others say, I need to process that. Or I'm still processing that. My partner does it to me often. So what does this actually mean? Well, processing is your experience of the process. It is the movement and operation of these processes within you and how you deal with and work through what you are experiencing. How you deal with your emotional process, how you deal with your mental process. Do you externalize what you're experiencing, either verbally, physically, and in energy? Or do you internalize what you're processing and you stay with it, or you suppress it, or you avoid it, or you may even just hold it within you? And there are many other approaches to what a person's approach is to their processing. Some approaches support your growth and involvement, and other ones limit and hinder it. But that requires separate exploration in a different video. Your processing is what you uniquely experience in feelings, physical, physiological, energy-wise, and emotional feelings, what you experience in thoughts, reactions, and responses, and what they contain and how they operate and unfold within you. And your processing is influenced by how you were conditioned in the past as to how you work through your processing of each of your processes. And your processing will potentially be different from that of others. So what you experience externally in the process of an interaction will be absorbed by you through the way that you process it. And it can impact different internal processes within you. And there will be processing you experience in the processes. To share an example with you, you may ask a person a question and they do not answer you straight away. So you're not hearing any answer, you're not hearing any response at all. And you react to this internally and you feel the emotion of rejection. Another person who's also involved in the interaction has a different experience. They sense the person is thinking about their response and what they feel. And so their interpretation of the person not answering is one where they're accepting of the person taking their time to think about their response. So you have rejection and acceptance. Each of you experience the same experience, but are working with similar and yet different processes to interpret what you experience, such as the prominent process for you was hearing. The prominent process for the other person was sensing. And both of you picked up on different information, which resulted in you having different internal processing and experiencing different processes. Your previous experiences of what you interpreted from the person's delay in response then influences the impacts on you and the processing you experience. So you've experienced similar situations in the past. You don't need to have a full understanding of all of this at this stage, But the key part is for you to grow your awareness of and be conscious of the different processes and different processing that you and others can experience. The more you come to know the processes you're working with, the more you grow your awareness of your unique way of processing through each of the different processes all of us experience. And the more empowered you are to work with your personal growth and involvement, and you do so more consciously. You gain insight and understanding not only into yourself, but also why other people react and respond differently to you. You grow your understanding why there's disconnection and misunderstanding, as well as connection and understanding. So take some time to really be aware of the different processes that you do experience that have an impact and an influence on you. And take some time to explore how you're impacted and affected by that, and how you're different and similar to others.